5:30, I'm going to call to order the December 9th, 2021 meeting of the Tilton Northfield Fire and EMS Board of Commissioners. Let the record show that all three commissioners are present: Chief Setar, Deputy Jubert, Deputy Robinson, and Administrative Assistant Catherine Tobine. And we have to put the crowd in? Mm-hmm. All right. And we have, in the audience, we have Mr. Alan Clark from REI and Kevin Waldron from the public. First up, public comment. Members of the district, employees of the district. Hearing none, move on to correspondence.
There's none.
No, we have Alan Clark from REI.
He's not well,
it looks like he's correspondence.
yes.
He's going to speak about it for us.
All right.
So,
It's all right. Skip right over you.
Well,
Thanks for showing up.
I was having him under that.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's a dot, and a bullet, and not a bullet. All right. I'm just confused.
So I received an email from Mr. Clark a couple days ago, which I forwarded to the Board of Fire Commissioners, and I also gave a copy of the email to the building committee last night, at last night's meeting. And after the email, I spoke with Commissioner Piver. He asked if Mr. Clark could come and speak and talk about his work. And so with us tonight is Mr. Alan Clark. He's the president of REI, and he's also the fire chief in Sugar Hill, up in New Hampshire, a little bit north of here.
I know where Sugar Hill is. Yeah, bring us any cake.
Polly Cranky.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
I think that's the right thing. Excellent.
So, Mr. Clark, if you would.
Okay to take my mask off?
It is.
Fully vaccinated, and boosted and all of that?
Good.
I respect you guys. So I'm here not to sell you anything or tell you what you should do or any of that. I'm here just to explain what I've been doing for the past 51 years, I guess, and to see if maybe my services, my company's services, could be of any value to. I call you the precinct in my letter. I understand you're a district. When I wrote my initial letter to the North Conway Water Precinct, I was reprimanded that they are a precinct and not a district, so I apologize for that. I've been building stuff for 51 years. I've managed over 260 people at one point in time. I'm supposed to be retired. I don't know how to do that. I am the fire chief in Sugar Hill. I'm the chair of the Board of Fire Control. I'm on the state fire training and standards commission. I ski patrol at Cannon. I head up the PIMI search and rescue team. My wife tries to find things for me to do, so I'm not around. So she's been fairly successful. I'm an admitted workaholic. I enjoy working. I don't play golf. I don't play tennis. I don't sit on the beach. I like to work. During my 51-year career, I've built over $500 million of stuff. So during that time, I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've learned a lot. In the past future, I built Franconia public safety building. It didn't start out that way. I'm the building inspector in Franconia and a couple of other towns, but that's a whole other story. And they kept coming. They asked me to review what they wanted to do, which I told them didn't meet code. So the town got frustrated and said, "Well, you run it." So I did. We were able to complete that project in 7 months. And substantially under budget. The town of Carroll, which you may know as Twin Mountain, then came to me and said, would you help us manage a project to replace the town hall, the police station, and the fire station. So I did. We started We worked through that project. They're an SB2 town. That was during the blizzard. We lost the deal by 2 votes. I know 3 firefighters that didn't go. And that cost the town $500,000. We went back the next year, because that didn't change anything other than increase the price by $500,000. That time, the building committee, I expanded the building committee so it had a lot more public members, and explained to them their job was to bring people that were going to vote yes, as opposed to trying to convince people that were going to vote no, they were going to vote no no matter what. If it was just a fire station, that one would have flown through, but I know it's hard to believe, but not everybody likes the police, and they also didn't think that the town needed a new town hall, although they desperately did. We were able to build that ahead of schedule, and also pretty much on budget. We ran into a initial problem in that we were told that the soils we were building on were all gravel. And when I was there to do the test bits for the septic, it turns out it was silty sand, which is not gravel. So that caused us a little bit of a problem, but nevertheless we managed to get that through. And then we were approached by the North Conway Water Precinct, which runs the North Conway Fire Station, the fire department. 5 fire departments in the town of Conway. They asked us to submit a proposal as the owner's project manager. We did, and we started through that project. We had a pretty good idea of what they wanted. The architect was Sam and Delia. They came back with the initial plan. They said we want it fancier than that, and so we did. We finished that during the pandemic, a month ahead of schedule, and under budget. We put down 75,000 burnt during the winter and burned 30,000 gallons of propane, but fortunately we were able to negotiate that at $1.07 a gallon, so I had $30,000 in my budget. We did okay on that. If there's anything that I can help you with, it's that my experience over the years is it's hard for building committees to push a project through without some professional help. And so what I offer is pretty simple. I make certain that you get what you need, not necessarily not what you want, but what you need, in that it's done on schedule or under schedule and on budget. That's what we do. We're not architects, we're not contractors. I've had some, I have multiple companies, but those homes, the new homes that built on Zion Hill, one of my companies built those except for the last one. The chief may or may not know that when his house was being built, our firm inspected the home for the bank and dispersed the money. So we have we manage over 1 million square feet of commercial space. We don't do residential, but we do commercial. Winnisquam Village, phase 1 is built. That was one of my projects. That was a development that was approved, that wasn't feasible. It would have gone up that mountain. Would have been terrible. We redesigned it, cut the number of units, made it so it was down at the lower part. We put in the water system, and then we sold it to the Moreau companies who have built the first phase. So when we say we, I guess it's probably me. I do have a company that of 9 people at this point in time. I'm the president. I was the owner. I gave it to the company. I gave the company to the employees. But when you deal with me, you deal with me, and I think that's important when you go forward. I know you've been talking to Bonnet, Page and Stone. They're an excellent contractor. I've dealt with them. They're always on my select list of contractors. They haven't done a fire station for me, but I have worked with them on and off in other areas. They just built a 10,000 square foot building up at Cannon Mountain for the Franconia Ski Club, and I had involvement with that because I'm the building inspector in Franconia, although it's a state building, so it was a little convoluted, but they're an excellent company. You know, I think as you go forward, you need to identify what it is that you really need. We don't, reading through your minutes, you know, I think you thought about that design build might be the preferred method. I'm a proponent of design build in that Franconia was design build, Twin Mountain, both the town hall and the public safety building were design build. You can save an awful lot of money by going design build, and you can fast track. And the other method is what we did in North Conway, because it was they were so adamant on what they wanted that we brought Sam and Delier in. They developed full plans, and then we were able to get a guaranteed maximum price. I also see in your minutes that you talk about construction management. So there's two basic ways of building anything. One is the traditional general contractor. A lot of times municipalities fell into this way. They would have a set of plans drawn up. They would then put it out to bid. Traditionally, it always comes in higher than the money that they had budgeted, and they start making cuts. And then what happens is the contractor bids, and that's a lump sum bid. He says, I'll build this for $10 million, until he finds errors in the plans, and then you're facing change orders, which are very, very expensive. And you know, if you're required to use low bidder, that's usually not the best bidder. But that's one way. That's the old way of doing things. Construction management's a little bit different, and design build can work either way. But construction management's a little different. What we've always recommended to our clients is what you want to do is you want to bring the construction manager on as early on in the project as you can. And so we go through a pretty detailed request for proposal. And typically before we send that out, we will have schematic plans and schematic specifications so that they have some idea of what it is that we're talking about. We can usually, I do the specifications, we bring an architect on that may or may not continue on, but at least we have some idea. And before we allow an architect to start, we, and when I say we, again, I'm not here to sell you on us if we can help you fine, but an owner's project manager, if he's going to do his job, he needs to keep everything focused. So we start off, we meet with the fire department, we meet with the building committee, and we develop the preliminary schedule of what rooms they need and what size they need to be. And we typically start off in the building, you know, if we do everything what everybody wants, it's going to be twice as big as what the budget's going to probably allow. So then we work, and we know I have an advantage because I've been in the fire service too long, and so I've been in the fire service probably 35 years. I've been a chief officer for probably 30 of those, and I've been the fire chief in Sugar Hill for 18. But I know all the chiefs, and I know the fire service business. I know what they need and what they don't need. So I can help guide them so that we come back to a reasonable scope of what needs to be done, and then we work on well, what needs to be next to this and what needs to be that. We kind of do a bubble chart, and then we're not architects, but we kind of, once we have all of that, we can give it to an architect for fairly little money to make the floor plan that'll work. And he can start to build what might be a conceptual idea. When we have that in place, Now is when we go out and seek a construction manager. And typically, we get 5, somewhere around, we ask for maybe 10. We pre-select them in that if they're not if the town's not, or the precinct of the district is not gonna use them, then we don't waste their time. And one of the big requirements is they have to be bonded, payment of performance bond, and that limits a lot of firms because they don't have the bonding capacity. And so we go out to maybe 10. We usually get 5, and then we sit with the committee and we have an analysis check form. And after we do an initial one, and then we're usually able to get it down to 3. And then we do interviews with the 3, and they go through a kind of an analytical effort of trying to rank them, so that, and then typically there's consensus, but not always. And typically I'm surprised by who they pick, but I don't care because whoever's on that list, I know is going to do a good job. And once you've done that on a design build, they bring their architect. They've selected an architect, so it's a team effort. Once we get that all in place, we're able to start getting into designing the building and getting to a guaranteed maximum price. And we need that guaranteed maximum price because now we can build the budget. And the budget is far more than just the construction costs. So our budget is very detailed, probably has 50 items and it has subcategories to that. But it includes equipment and furniture and items, audiovisual type equipment, the financing costs, the permit costs. It's pretty much very much all inclusive. And once you have that in place, typically you know what your project's going to cost. And I don't know what you think your project's going to cost, but right now prices are high. They're going to come down. They are coming down on the material side. I'm not convinced they're going to come down on the labor side because you can work at Dunkin' Donuts now for 18 bucks an hour, and tradesmen are hard to find to begin with. But the materials are coming down. A Vantech subfloor and 3/4 subfloor, you know, at the peak was $108 a sheet, believe it or not. Prior to the pandemic, it was like 44, and yesterday it was around 56. So it's you know, materials are coming down. I think you're looking at building in 2003. I think you're going to hit a sweet spot. Today, if you're saying you're going to build in 2002, you're going to be looking at a lot of money. But anyway, when you've selected the construction manager, that's the time when we make certain that whatever is designed is going to be within that kind of overall budget, and you work together, and it's a team approach. And we're the coach. We're the ones that just keep things moving, all right, and making certain that we're making progress. We typically meet in the beginning every 2 weeks. When we get closer in, we meet every week. We try to bring in the mechanical people because HVAC, the heating, and if there's any cooling and ventilation, is always the most difficult component to make certain that it works. The other thing that we try to focus on with the architects so that they don't get too carried away, we give them that scope of this is the size, kind of what we're looking for, and you know, we know you need mechanical rooms, sprinkler rooms. We know how big those. We know what the electrical room is going to be. So we give them all of that so that they're not starting from scratch. But the big emphasis that I've always placed is I want durable materials that are not going to need a lot of maintenance, town buildings typically aren't maintained really well. And the other thing is, I want this building to be as energy efficient as possible. Because if we spend a little bit more money maybe on some capital costs, then we save it for years and years and years in the operating costs. I know the cost of heating Franconia's building, it's like 50 cents a square foot. I mean, it's an 8,000 square foot building, it's like $4,000 to heat that building. And electrical's about a buck a foot, and of course the police have to have air conditioning and they leave their lights on all the time, but that's a whole nother story. So as we're working through this, we can help keep the project so that it meets the overall objectives of what the building committee, and in this case the district, want. And then as you go forward, we get a formal guaranteed maximum price under the standard construction management contract, and Mr. McVeigh must have probably talked to you about it. It's AIA 133. You know, there's two phases. They help you through that design phase for phase one, and then they give you a guaranteed maximum price. And if the guaranteed maximum price is acceptable, you do an addendum that gets you into the construction process. The nice thing about the difference of construction management is you're paying cost plus a fee, and their fee is going to be in the 3 to 4% range. So every bill comes in, and if we were helping you, I mean, we review every bill, and then they get their markup. The key to making certain that you don't get taken advantage of is what's known as general conditions. So we make them identify their general conditions before we sign off on the GMP, because that's where they can hide. You know, you could be paying $500 a day for a pickup truck or whatever. So that's a key. When you bring on your construction manager, one of the key things we make them look at is what would your general conditions are going to be. We know what their fee's going to be, and then we do we'll do an analysis for the building committee, so that all plays into that role, and then I suspect they make a recommendation to the commissioners who make the final decision. During the construction process, we hold weekly meetings. That's how we hold them accountable. I do the minutes because I firmly believe he who controls the minutes controls the project. And it's typically a smooth relationship as we go forward. The nice thing is there's typically no surprises because we've all worked as a team as we go forward. I could talk for the rest of the night, but I'd probably better serve if I can answer any questions for you.
Well, we'll start with you. You're the one that requested it.
Well, you mentioned a lot of costs on building after the building's built and things like that, but and I don't know these. I know something about some of the places you've built, but what about your experience where buildings that are staffed 24/7?
So, the Twin Mountain, we built, although they don't work 24/7 there. We built in the provisions, so they have bunk room, they have separate quarters, they have what we call a day room. So because it's just a matter of time before they will go to having full-time staff. They have 2 full-time staff during the day now, but it's just a matter of time, just the way the demographics are working, and people don't have that same commitment to the town. Twin Mountain is an unusual town in that the normal residents, or the full-time residents anyway, people like you and I that they live in modest houses, and they're working people, and the rest of the population, and all the value are in million-plus houses up at Breton Woods, who those people are not gonna join the fire department. So you've got kind of a, they struggle, like everybody, to get call guys. So we built that in. Franconia has it built in to the chagrin of the chief, so that he didn't realize what I did, but I can make a bunk room by moving or cutting some sheetrock, and the door's all framed in, everything's there. He's adamant that they'll never go, but they will. And of course, North Conway is fully set up to be staffed 24/7. They have 2 full-time day people. They bring in firefighters for weekends when they're not around, and they sleep there. So there we have 2 double bunks with a shared bath, and then an officer's a place for whoever the officer is on duty that's separate with his own bathroom. They have a big day room, fancy kitchen. North Conway, I don't, they were great to work with. I probably should retire after that one, but no matter, I never figured that we would have granite countertops everywhere. And I suspect we probably won't have granite countertops here. The amount of millwork we put in is unbelievable. But that has a fitness room with $25,000 worth of fitness equipment.
That's the one by the train station.
Yes,
Yes.
by the train station.
The showcase.
So
Total
yeah,
cost, $6 million?
6.7, but it would cost 8.5 today.
Yeah.
So I mean, here's the extremes, I guess.
Oh, that's quite a facility.
There's Twin Mountain, which is a pretty basic fire station. On the lower end, I got
Oh, yeah.
I got some. Whoops, I'm sorry.
That's common.
That's a Conway. Well, it says no Conway. I saw it in the construction.
Yeah, I've seen it.
But approve it for Twin Mountain.
So the chief was there for the dedication, so he got a chance to walk around. But those, that just gives you an example of, you can be one end of the spectrum to the other. Those garage doors, for whatever reason, open in 7 seconds, which they thought was important. I never thought that was important, because you have to get your guys in the truck and buckled up when the truck started. But those doors cost about $350,000 more than a typical overhead door. They are beautiful. Half of the door weighs 2,400 pounds, so you can imagine that above, and they hang, so you can imagine what we have for steel superstructure in there. The doors themselves don't cost that much, but when you add in all the superstructure that goes in it, it's pretty elaborate.
Coney has those doors.
They do.
Which one's the folding?
The folding,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I think recognizing what takes place in a fire station is important. I can tell you the building, if you build a new building, it will be sprinkled. There's no getting around that. I am on the board, I actually the chair of the Board of Fire Control. I am working on trying to get a small building under 5,000 square feet not to be sprinkled. Only because small towns, they're struggling, and they're not sleeping in it. And so, but anything over 5,000, and that would be consistent with what any building is that 5,000. So it's just a special requirement that a public safety building has to be sprinkled. The other thing that you need to consider is you've got to segregate your gear, your contaminated gear, when they come back from a fire. So in the one in North Conway in particular, we paid particular attention to that. Not only is the locker room, in the showers, in the washers and the dryers, I figured one washer extractor, of course we got two of the dryers, it's like, wow. And they're like, you know, they're like every other town. I mean, the number of structure fires you have is nothing like when I first started, when we used to run a lot. But nevertheless, you've got to segregate that. In that, what we call the dirty area, we also have the ability to create negative pressure. But you don't want negative pressure all the time, because then your heat's going out so that gets a little bit complicated. The segregating that contaminated gear is critical through the efforts of the Chiefs Association now. I mean, there is cancer is recognized as a workers' comp. I can attest to the fact that dirty gear results in cancer, and that I had testicular cancer, and we traced it down to the fact that my dirty gear was behind me in my pickup truck all the time, and back then I worked really hard to get it dirty, because that, at least in my own mind, that so, you know, showed that I was seasoned. And the thought of washing it was very foreign. Unfortunately, that's changed. But fires have changed. Back kind of when I first started, we didn't have the plastics, what I call solid gas in the building, and we were burning wool and cotton and soakers that weren't full of plastic. So we need to, whatever you do, you're going to have to take those things in consideration. Also, your drains are going to have to, if you're not on sewer, they're going to have to go into a holding tank. If you are on sewer, you have to clearly have an oil water separator. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into a fire station. But I think we certainly recognize what's necessary for a department that has full-time personnel.
It's on sewer up there.
Well, it's on sewer up there.
Yes,
Water
I
and sewer.
wasn't sure where the line ends.
Yeah, water and sewer.
Water I knew.
Oh, yeah.
Makes no sense if you wash your truck outside of the station. It goes wherever it goes. If it's inside,
It has to be collected.
makes no sense.
Yeah. One of the questions I had, because obviously it's a business, there's a percentage markup, obviously, if whoever we would hire in that capacity,
Yep.
3-4%, whatever. How much? So if you're dealing with that, so we'll go with $3 million. I mean, $3 million at 3%, we were discussing, comes about $90,000.
Yep.
How much, as working as the agent, looking for those discounts and trying to get, do you see making back usually?
So I think because of you don't make the mistakes that I've already made, we have access to some grant money, and we work that process. I think it's fair to say that we more than save our fee. People that are involved with us know, because this isn't a one-time thing. I mean, we're able to be able to make certain that you're being treated fair. The best example I can give you, I guess, is the propane. I don't know anybody that can get propane at $1.07 a gallon last year. But they wanted the business, and we got it.
Because that's just, we've gone with 4.5 for Tilton School and
Tilton School is 4.8.
4.8.
The double project was
6.8.
6.8 or 6.9, and those are the two projects that.
Right. And the 4.8 didn't even pass. So we know that it's dollars, and it's a small combination department where one town is a very rural town, the other one has some commercial base, and building on, that's a secondary question we'll get to. So we're looking at the sources of the income, and obviously the overall dollar is the nightmare of getting it. What is fits the needs and the public is willing to. We've seen movement on the public with the last meeting at least, it seemed like there was some migration towards this process. But if we were to come back with a 4.5, most likely they would say no. And unfortunately, the costs have gone up so much that we probably couldn't even get it remotely for that price. So, I mean, that is concerns. I mean, eventually the overall dollar amount is going to be one of the biggest.
You probably don't want to come back with that.
No, for some reason. I walked into that place, it's, yeah. So that's a concern. I lost my train of thought on the second one. I know. If you were to build onto an existing building, I know there are all kinds of regulations, laws and stuff like that. How much of the original building would you have to modify to the current standard, or theoretically would be better to build an addition on, but then you have to upgrade the existing footprint? But how much do you break into it that you have to upgrade, or can you get away with not breaking much? Or is it better to build side by side with a vestibule?
So, I mean, you're gonna have to fully sprinkle it, you're gonna have to have.
Either way, yeah.
You know, full fire alarm.
Yeah.
And you gotta meet current code. So when you start renovating with an addition, the code pretty much makes you bring everything now up to the current
Everything, it's not a
code.
percentage of how much you break into the old?
Well, it's, you know, it's substantial, and so some of it is, it's all subject, all codes are subject to interpretation. But I think for the most part, you're looking at, we're always asked this. You know, Franconia had an existing building, and everybody had this great idea, why don't we just add on to it or something? So we did the whole analysis, and it's like, you're paying more to try to keep it. By the time you're so much more economical to just build new. We did the same thing in Twin Mountain. There they had what they thought was a historic town hall that we had to save. I mean, we did an analysis on how to bring that up to code. It has to have an elevator, and it was like, and then so finally after going through it all, it was obvious that it was cheaper to build a new town hall. We paid extra to build that new town hall to keep the old town hall. And then when it was all said and done, people thought they could sell it in the private sector, which we thought, what are they going to use it for? And maybe they'll convert it to apartments. So you're going to spend all this money on a nice town hall, public safety building, and have people hanging out windows with laundry and stuff. So after all that, we tore the building down, and which could have, if we'd done that in the beginning, would have saved some money. But it was a process that we just had to go through. So it's hard to answer without knowing specifics. You know, the building that's over in Northfield would certainly be easier to do. It'd be next to impossible for the station downtown.
No, this one over here is
This one
intended to go away. But using that one as an example, if you were to keep the bays somewhat the way they are, and then you built on some more bays, and then your admin and your dorm space over into the west side, is that feasible?
It's feasible. I mean, I don't know if that's sprinkled, but sprinkler's not,
We're not right now, are we? No. And we know we're going to have
you'd
to have
have
that.
to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't, believe me, I've tried every way I could think.
What are
of to
sprinkler
try to-
systems ballpark going for?
It's not the end of the world, a couple bucks a square foot.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, that's
If you've
understandable.
got, if you've got good water pressure. And believe me, when I did work in Tilton prior to when the water system was privately owned, and we wanted to have a flow test, we thought we asked for gold, and I was like, no, we don't do flow tests. I'm like, I don't do flow. But anyway, if you have decent pressure and good volume, it's relatively inexpensive. If you have to put in tanks and a fire pump, it adds a lot. So a fire pump, you could probably buy the fire pump for 10 grand, but when you paint it red, now it's like 50 grand. So it just adds. I don't know what you get for water pressure out there.
We'd be fine, yeah, we wouldn't need a pump or a tank.
Okay.
So it's not huge dollars.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, there are certain life safety requirements. We know that no matter what we would do, we would have to go in, and
Yep.
having people there overnight, a sprinkler system, plus it's really bad media when your fire station burns down with equipment in it. And it's happened a couple of times over the years, and it makes,
So in North Conway, we've addressed that, we know, but in Manchester, of course, they burnt a station down on the west side, I went out on a call, left the food on or some damn thing, burnt to the ground. That is embarrassing, but like in North Conway, when the tone goes off, it shuts the gas off to the.
You get safety
stove,
shutoffs
so
and
it's,
stuff.
yeah.
which is the higher end of things, but
That was relatively cheap, that
solenoid
wasn't.
solenoid,
yeah,
that's-
solenoid
yeah, that's
system.
not- That's not a big deal, you know, it's money probably well spent if you're gonna do that.
That's the biggest thing, is just trying to figure out how we can, because the building committee, I mean, there's a lot of novices on there, there's people with construction backgrounds and stuff, obviously, different thought processes on this, we've been through this twice already, really would like to make the third time the charm. It's just getting costly each time we go with it, and I think that's kind of along the lines of where they're looking is, most likely, 90% sure it would be at the Park Street. And the debate is still up in the air of add-on or new. It would really have to be a dollars showing of, it really does save money to do new, and you could still be at the limit, the cap limit, versus you can save 30% of that if you go on to this renovation. Well, trying to get that upper cap, which is going to be a very low number to begin with, and get everything to fit in there.
There's some work to be done. But, you know, you need somebody like me to help move that project along, because I think it's hard for a committee to have, devote the energy and the time and to have the foresight of how to move it forward. You know, you've got a chief that has some expertise in that area, but he also has a full-time job, so it makes it, we typically come in, so town of Franconia screwed around with this public safety concept for 12 years. And then,
Close to that, aren't we?
Mike, how long?
45.
and then, you know, it's like, yeah, all right, we gotta get serious here, and so they hired me, and I was like, all right, we're gonna put, part of what we do is that public relations, so people understand, so it's not just, you know, it's just not a pretty picture. This, by the way, there were 49 people at the precinct's meeting. Because of the pandemic, it got pushed back, which really caused us some concerns, because I wanted to get started. And the vote, we worked it real hard. After Twin Mountain, I'm like, I'm not gonna lose another deal by 2 votes. There was a retired colonel on the building committee, and he kept saying, Alan, this is just gonna fly through. And I'm like, yeah, I heard that before. We're gonna work it. We did videos, we had radio interviews, we had press releases, we sent the chief out to the Lions Club, worked hard at it. The meeting was in a tent on a beautiful summer day in May, and there were 49 people there, and I looked at the chief and I said, are we in trouble? And he says, no, I know almost every one of them. Went to vote, it was 47 people for it and 3 against, $6.9 million project. I was like, wow, I don't expect that here. So.
No, and the main thing is definitely want to represent the public. I personally don't want to try and slide something under just to get something built. I definitely want, from my personal opinion, just one of them, I'd want this something the public would want to stand behind and appreciative of, that we looked into what they want and we weren't selling them a bad deal, that it's something that they actually believed in is ideal.
And you want a building that's going to stand the test of time. You know, we always figure that, you know, we're looking at a 50-year building minimum. We're expecting it to last longer. And when we're programming, we're trying to look out 20 years, 25 years, recognizing things with change. But that's Twin Mountain, I mean, that's why they have bunk rooms. we couldn't call them bunk rooms, I forget what we ended up, because when people saw the room bunk, they immediately thought they were going full-time. And then we made the mistake, we just designed it so they could have a ladder truck, and so people thought immediately that they were gonna buy a ladder, and it's like, oh my God, so. You gotta, I mean, not,
You're forecasting for the future, but not saying that you're going there.
yeah, because people draw conclusions that probably aren't accurate.
Is there anything, Paul?
No.
Kevin, you've been involved in this for a long time. Do you have any questions?
No, I heard some things I like, and I heard some things that make me shudder.
Such
Under
as-
no circumstances would I ever support stacking a meeting to make sure the vote goes my way.
Right.
And it will not fly here. You'll get kicked right in the shins very quickly. What I did like very much is this gentleman talked about what we need versus what we want. That's like my hero. That's my thing from day one is we want this, but we really need this. And honestly, I've said, I think from the beginning, being on the committee, is that I think this is gonna fly. If I didn't believe it, you wouldn't see me investing my time because I don't need to. So if we keep our eye on the prize of a building that the public will back because the public knows it's the right thing to do, not because they've been sold. You can't sell them, it just does not fly.
Now, media blitz, I'm sorry to interrupt, but media blitz in a positive fashion informs them to make an informed decision, so definitely some pros and cons of that, absolutely.
Yeah, by marketing it, I don't mean, smoke and mirrors, I mean
Okay.
facts. And so,
Yep.
we broke it in facts saying, this is, if your house is assessed for 100, this is what this is gonna cost. We talk about, the carcinogens and the cancer and why, we're talking facts, not, because like in Twin Mountain, because a guy had been arrested by the police for something that probably was warranted, he was mad at the police, so he went down to the transfer station and handed out things saying that, your taxes were gonna go up $800, when in fact, the average full-time residents, it was $65. And, we sent out a flyer to every registered voter, and there was still, and I explained it, and it was all based on, here are the numbers, and this is how it comes down to $65 if you have a $100,000 house. But, they hear, this guy telling them it's $800, and they're thinking it's $800. So trying to get facts out there is what we mean by sell, I guess, not smoke and mirrors, but facts, so that they can make an informed decision. And no matter what, I mean, there are gonna be people that are gonna vote no because they just simply can't afford any more taxes. And I think you have to recognize that, so.
And I'm sorry for interrupting you, Kevin.
That's right. No,
Yeah, sorry.
it's just, and relative to the add-on versus new, I've thought a lot about that. I don't know how you could even begin to think that the project would be affordable if you're gonna play with Park Street as it is now. So I believe that the most direct course forward for the best possible result is to leave it, forget it. It's there. If we need to do something to it down the road, that can be done probably without borrowed money. Because the more money you borrow, the less chance you have of success, in my opinion. Because if I have to borrow $4 million, I'm going to be a lot less friendly than if I only have to borrow $2 million. So, I think the concept the gentleman presented is very nice. And you've got to have someone with their finger on things at all times to make sure you're getting what you paid for. So that brings value to the equation, and value is one of my favorite words, value for the money. And even if it does end up being a little more costly, as long as you can prove the value, you'll win people over. And I think you will.
So on financing, do you go to the municipal bond bank, or how do you finance in the past?
Probably, I
We
know,
haven't.
we haven't really crossed that bridge yet.
So one of the things that we bring to the table as well is our ability to assist in the financing. And we've found that the municipal bond bank, although the initial rate may appear good, we can typically beat it with local banks. You know,
For that option.
you know, I think North Conway, we're at 1.6% fixed, 20 or 25 years, no closing costs, there's no mortgage, I mean, it's just somebody signs the document. I think we were at 1.9 at Twin Mountain, and a little different times, but I think Franconia we're at 2.3, 2.4, something like that. So, you know, whatever you do for your financing, don't forget your local banks. And the best bank to go to is whoever the town, whoever the town has their relationship with, and whatever the district has their relationship. Those are typically you're going to get the best bang for your buck. They like those loans, and I think they're ignored a lot of times when people go right to the municipal bank. We were able to, in all three cases, we beat the municipal bank in cost and also in legal fees, and you know, all of the whole package just seems to work a lot better, and we're still in a good interest rate environment. I don't understand why, but we are. So.
Did their PT, I think we went to the bond bank, they beat the local bank.
I think San Bernardino went to a local bank when they did their meeting, or their
It depends
project.
what the rates are at the time.
Well, yeah, I know with Lakes Region, we went with Franklin Savings Bank because we were able to do very well with them.
And we may have gone to Franklin Savings Bank, because I know we kept talking about the bond bank, and then all of a sudden, you know, at the end,
Yeah.
when it came time to actually do it, it switched, so.
I think this was a lot of good information. I mean, I got to see your packet last night at the building committee. I didn't get a chance to totally absorb it, but I got a chance to glance through. And I think this was extremely informative of the process.
I think I gave you what North Conway used to solicit.
Yes, I didn't I printed it once and it's sitting on my desk, but I could pass that
I
on.
mean, and we'd be happy to put together a more formal proposal. This was just to try to give you an idea of who we are, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the people we work for, speak highly of us. Perry Plummer, I didn't pay him to do that, although he is a friend, but we will, and I'm at the point in my life where I kind of do one project. I like to have one project. I was asked to do Groveton, public safety building for Groveton. That was an interesting, that's a different world over there, or up there, and the whole town meeting was rigged. It was a selectman who got up and spoke for 20 minutes against the proposal, and before anybody could speak, including the police chief, there was a motion made to bring it to a vote and no more discussion. I forget what the vote was. So that was kind of my project for this year. But as it turned out, it would have been a tough project because of material prices changing and stuff. So, and I will be. I know I was a prime person that got the Bergen Fire Academy up in Bethlehem for the North Country built, and they just got 2.7 million of that funny federal money to put into it. So I know the commissioner expects me to be working on that, but nothing, which is fine. But that's the only.
It's just that you keep busy times.
Yeah. The other thing though is regardless of whatever I can do to help you, and if you don't hire me and you want me to come and talk some more about something, I'm happy to do it. I don't work for money. I made money. I work because I like working. And if you do, whoever you hire, and make certain that the person that's gonna be the one that runs the project, or if it's a construction manager, who you're gonna be dealing with on a regular basis, make certain you meet that person. So, in my case, you, for better or worse, you get me. You get me all the time. I have backup with my company that if something happened, I've got 2 project managers that could step in. And they can provide some support. Like, we bought all the fitness equipment. Somebody chased all that stuff down, so I do have that support. But the point is that, you know, when you do interview a construction manager, you want to know who the person is that you're going to be dealing with. Because like any company, you know, the president may be a great salesman, but that's all he does and doesn't deliver. And then you find out who you have for a project manager and a job superintendent. It's the project manager and job superintendent that's going to make the project either enjoyable or a disaster. It's not the president. So.
I think this is very
That
informative.
was
I
very-
appreciate you, asking for this.
Yeah, I wanted to hear more.
Mhm.
So,
Like
well,
I said,
I'm familiar with all 3 projects that he talked about, not intimately, but where they are, what, so. No, I'm good for now. Anything for you?
I think some discussion has to be from the building committee on this, and then any recommendations would have to come back to the commissioners if there was a financial process to it.
Yeah.
For an agreement, but I think the building committee should meet and discuss some of the material as
Was
well.
there any discussion last night when they got it?
Briefly.
Briefly, okay.
But this brought a lot more to the table, and you have 2 members here that, or actually, I'm sorry, 3 members here who can speak on this, and I wouldn't want to make a recommendation without it going. It was a very small meeting last night, and it really wasn't a vote taken on it, so I wouldn't want to make that commitment without.
and I'd be happy to come and speak.
So I have a question, and this will probably be a question that would be very pertinent for from the building committee, is if the district were to hire you, how would you be paid and how would that work out?
Thank you.
So typically what we do in the initial stage is we work on an hourly, but I give you a guaranteed maximum price, so you know. I hate hiring engineers, because even if they give you an estimate, it's always more. So you would know exactly that if I put more time in, unless, you know, something changed, you're gonna build 2 stations, or something changes, we'd have to talk about it. And then, so it's a 2-phased approach. The first phase is to get you to approval, and then the second phase is more of a construction, and then we give you a fixed fee, flat fee for that.
For phase 1 and phase 2? or
No, phase 1 would be hourly with a guaranteed
Up to a
maximum
max.
price.
Phase
Phase
2 would
2,
be.
I know exactly what it is. We're
Okay.
just gonna give you a monthly fee.
Okay.
And, you know, and you, whatever number, I mean, I'm a workaholic, so you get me more than you really probably want me. But, I mean, I'm there all the time, I'm always working on it, because that's how you control making certainly it's done on time and on schedule, and you're getting what you think you're doing, so. So anyway, and it falls, you know, it's in that 3% to 4% range,
Okay.
Depending on what we need. This is, you know, you're an hour away from where I live. I go to Concord once or twice a week. But it's, you know, it's less than an hour, it's a straight shot. North Conway was an hour, but I had to go through Crawford Notch through the winter, which wasn't, I had to go through Franconia Notch, but I'm used to that, so.
Thank you for asking
Straight
that
down the
question.
highway.
That was a good question.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, we'll take the information back to the building committee, because they didn't vote on it, I think.
Would you like him to meet with the building committee, do you think?
I don't remember.
Kevin,
Did we
would
say
you-
we were gonna
do
meet
you
on the
thi-
22nd?
I don't think, you didn't make a decision last night on the 22nd because,
So I think it'd be the second Wednesday in January, most likely.
Kevin, do you feel that this would be beneficial for the committee to hear?
I think it would with a full committee,
Okay.
which we don't have. I wish that Kevin Kate could have been here tonight. I think there would be some interesting points brought to the table by him. So, you know, if the gentleman's willing to travel, it wouldn't hurt a thing. It would not hurt a thing. It may very well be almost a great idea, really. If we can make the best decisions with the most and best information. So, I would think that
So we'll try for the second Wednesday,
It would
we'll
be-
reach out. Kevin Cade is actually now the chair of the building committee. So that name, but we'll work on coordinating that. I think is a good idea. If that, right now, we're still looking at, we're kind of doing things backwards, as probably most of your departments are. So I think getting you there earlier rather than later would be a benefit.
absolutely, because if we happen to have taken a turn already that maybe we shouldn't have taken yet, now's the time to find that out.
Agreed.
We don't want to wait till July to find, oh, you know what we did back there in December, remember that? Oh, we should have went left right there instead of, so, yeah,
So
the more I think about it, the better idea I think it is.
Just taking that left turn at Albuquerque.
that second Wednesday in January, and I don't have my calendar in front
That'll
of
be
me.
January 12th.
Yes. And just for your information, I'll be in Arizona.
Yeah,
But
keep
I don't
rubbing
need
it
to be
in.
there.
That's
because
why,
I-
it's 2 nights in a row, but I'm going to Arizona, I'm going to Arizona. I'm going to be in Arizona.
I suspect it may be a little warmer there
It could be, yeah.
than it will be here in the middle of
Yeah,
January.
I think you might be right.
So if you could look at your schedule for January
But
12th.
82 days back, according to my figures.
And we meet at Northfield Town Hall at 5 p.m.
Get a tour of the town halls.
But definitely appreciate that, and we're working on, we gotta bring it up tonight about getting more people on the committee. It's gone down just a little bit, but we need to get some more residents involved in it. We want to have that diversified input.
And again, that, their primary job, once we get moving, is to inform the voters of what's happening, so that they're hopefully dealing with facts and not fiction.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
really appreciate that. This was,
Some extras
Thank you.
for the committee.
extras to get some books for the meeting. Definitely appreciate that. Seeing the packet last night was one thing. This really opened up some thoughts.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Moving on to,
That's it for that.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Thank you
Driving
very
through the
much.
notch. Chief's report.
All right, the chief's report,
And no? Okay.
I emailed to you and is included. And I guess if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. One of the things one of the first things I'll say is that there are no fire reports included in the packet, as we're still, I guess you call it, it's called Report Writer. We're building the reports in the new software so that I can generate them, and we're getting there. But it's kind of a learn as you go type of thing, and
Yeah.
It's been 3 hours.
yeah, I've been working on it for about a week and a half, and I think Kathy can probably attest to how many times I have to walk out of my office and take a spin around the fire station to cool off, because
I couldn't do it.
That's
No,
my
it's
whole
a
question.
test.
It's behind
yeah,
your,
it's in,
it's very,
After the financials.
Oh, okay, yeah.
you tell the machine that it staples.
The revenues made a huge jump, because I think last time they were like going just over 20,000 over. Now you're
Yeah,
53.
so we're doing good with the revenue. on the ambulances right now. I'm gonna say some of that is because we're able to handle most of our ambulance calls by ourselves now, rather than dishing them out to other communities, although that still happens now and then. Like I said, we had that car accident the other night where we ended up using 5 ambulances. 2 of them, we used our 2 and 3 others, so it's just sometimes you just can't handle it all.
But that's the nature of the fire service. There are sometimes when you're gonna be the busy one, and other times when 2 towns over is gonna be the busy one, and you're the support.
Sure.
Or you get halfway there 3 times in a row, and they call you off.
You call, we come, that's how it works.
Huh?
You call, we come, that's how it works.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I had a chance to look this over, nothing really glared out at me on my initial scan.
Ask it. The issues that we're learning from on E2, are those being translated to E1?
Yes, well, I actually had a meeting with the Larry Dingy today on that very fact, and the issues that we've found in the engine 2, which are being addressed now and going to be remedied, that we don't want to have to go through this again with engine 1. And we're in conversations with the factory and the engineers just to make sure it's all taken care of before we can go out and look at it. And I've been assured that they are being addressed.
How much longer till we get?
So in the conversation today, Mr. Dingy told me that he hoped we would have the engine in our garage by the end of next week.
That's bought and paid for.
Well,
We
that's
got nothing to
something.
show for it.
Yep, so a couple weeks ago, we made a decision not to accept the vehicle until it was done right. And I believe that made other people move a lot quicker than they would have if we had it sitting in our garage.
Have we written the final check for it?
The final check was written for it.
Beforehand.
We paid for it up front. But there's an accounting process that has to take place within something that this side of the company doesn't get paid until the receiving fire department accepts it. So they keep bugging us, "But why don't you take the truck, take the truck?" No, we ain't taking the truck because the truck's not right. And when it's right, we'll take it. And then you can do whatever you do at something to make the accountants happy. Plus, they also have a performance bond that we hold on, so.
That's what I was thinking.
So, I'm sorry, some of the other lessons learned on this, like the cross lays. Are we gonna have to buy new cross lays for the second truck too?
No.
Or are we gonna adapt the cross lays to fit what we have for hose?
So the new truck, the cross-lay hose bed is being adapted. That's part of the they told us in erroneous information when we
Yeah.
bought the hose. So we bought the hose, and now it doesn't fit.
Right.
They're fixing that. The new truck is gonna be designed so that we don't have to change the type of hose that we have.
Engine 1.
And
Did
you
you
fixed it.
Yeah,
You fixed it, you're in-house yourself for the?
No,
Okay, so for that one, we had to go to a different hose that was,
no, we had to purchase new hose anyways. And so we did a selection process. We went down to the fire academy, had all the hose companies give us all different kinds of
Yeah.
hose. And how we use those cross lays is with a smooth bore nozzle flowing lower pressure but higher volumes. The pull resistance, the kink resistance, and they came up with a hose that they wanted to use. And they said, well, the hose lays flat and it's this wide. So we called Dingy through something, how wide are the
trays.
the trays? And they said, oh, the trays are this much wide. Well, when it comes, they weren't.
Right.
No one put a tape measure to it.
Right.
And so
So,
the hose doesn't fit properly.
so what is our fix for now, and what is our fix for the truck 2? Or the second truck coming?
So the fix on the current truck is at the very front of the hose bed, there's 3-inch square tubing that they're taking off and making 2-inch square tubing and then building a new pan
Okay,
and a hose and then using the same divider. That'll make it work.
okay,
The new engine is already designed with that wider hose bed pan. So
okay. And we incurred the cost for that modification?
No, we're
On
not
the
paying-
first one?
No,
Okay.
that's on them. That was
Okay,
their mistake.
that was part of what they're fixing for, okay. So that is another thing that's being fixed as well as the grade, or
Yes,
angle
angle
of
of
approach.
approach.
Yeah,
So anything that, any of the issues that we found, none of it was on us. It's all on them. We have not had to pay a penny towards any of the modifications or fixes, however you want to word it, on this engine, because we were very clear on our specifications and how we wanted things to work, and it just didn't come out quite the way it was supposed to.
alright. So we haven't had to pay out of pocket for those. There's just a couple of things I had heard about as issues, and
Yeah,
So-
no, nothing,
was there any others or surprises besides the angle of approach and that bed? The crossways?
nothing of any, I mean, one of the things that sticks in my mind is because when I was driving the truck, is that when we were in engineering, designing the truck with the engineers, we wanted the auxiliary fans that blow on the windshield
Okay.
in the center of the truck. He says, no, that's gonna block your angle to the convex mirror. So they put them here, but they're right here in your eyesight, so you gotta push it out of the way. Now, that's getting fixed, but in the new engine, we said, put them back in the middle.
So these are
Or
like
move them even further to the outside, so
When
they're
you
not in
say-
sight line.
auxiliary fan, are you talking like small oscillating fan, or is it like ducking? in
No, it's the little round fan that
Okay,
blows.
so the
That's
little,
on the
Little oscillating fan that doesn't oscillate.
It doesn't-
right, okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you're talking those, so instead of them here, this way, they're more, okay.
I think the construction is really, really good on that
The
engine.
quality of
Quality
construction is
is,
very good.
is actually spectacular. It's heavy duty and it's built.
It's just all the little nuances now. Like with anything, I mean, you just.
Right.
Let's hope it does, like I said, 30 years is a long time.
Oh,
I'll probably be around, but I'm not sure I'll try to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm happy with the progress they're making, I'm happy with the decisions that we made. And once the truck's in service, I'm sure we'll be happy with the way it serves this community. I guess the other things I could probably tell you is I'm working on 3 grants currently. An COVID equipment grant, which most of you are aware of, because I had to go through the select board of each municipality to get that, and both municipalities have agreed to go along with that, so we'll get that process going. That's not due until sometime in June, but I want to do it now so that I can take, if we get awarded, I can take it out of the budget before a district meeting for some of the equipment that we have approved in there. At the same time, I also have to move money from certain things to other grant projects. I'm doing an AFG grant so we can replace all our 4-inch hose. The last time we tested hose, we lost 12 lengths because it's like a water garden. And before that, we lost 3 or 4 lengths, so all the hose we have is just, it's met its age limit.
And there's
it's
grants
just-
out there for that?
And there's an AFG grant, and it might be a micro grant, because I'm thinking it's gonna be in about the $40,000 range, and a micro grant goes up to $50,000. But I wanna talk to the guys in Boston, the FEMA guys in Boston, to see, is it more advantageous to go for a micro grant, or to put it in as a regular AFG grant? It all depends upon the selection process and things like that, but I'll put it in whichever way they say is the most advantageous for us. So I'm working on that grant, and I'm also working for a Homeland Security grant in combination with Lakes Region and Tilton PD to enhance the communications and microwave links and receiver sites for our repeater systems. And since that's a very collaborative project, it stands a high chance of being approved. I actually sit on the committee that approves those grants, but I can't vote on that one. So,
Well, it's a conflict of interest.
just, it is what it is.
So a question for you with the grants, because I know I'm dealing with this with school board. if you already had something in your budget and then you did a grant for it, is it supplanting?
Supplanting is one of those things, but the grants that we have are applying for, that doesn't apply for
Okay.
us.
I just know that's our magic word that we're looking at everything on, so I just want to make sure that you are tracking that as well. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So when I get closer to the end of probably this calendar year, when I've submitted at least two or maybe at least 2 or 3 of the grants, we may have to adjust the budget for our contribution or our match, which is up to 10% on some of them. And we already have a line item in the grant where we put matches. If we get the grant, fine, we can use the money out of the match line. If we don't get the grant, it just goes back into the apparatus and equipment fund. It doesn't get spent, but you need the match in there to actually make the purchases. One of the grants might be a reimbursement, but we can, as long as it's a reimbursement, we'll have money in there that we can buy the equipment or project and then be reimbursed for it. So, and the final project that I'm working on that I've gotten a lot of information lately finally is the internet access at the fire station. Currently we're using Atlantic Broadband, which is like almost $200 a month. Most of the time it works okay. When it's out though, it's terrible because everything we do is in the cloud, and when the internet goes out, we're out. I'm looking into other options or failover options. One of them would be cellular failover, where we would use FirstNet and a cellular modem within the thing, and you have to go through a cradle point switch that senses when your regular internet goes out and it automatically switches over. There's fees for that. Fiber is really the preferred way to go. Fiber is very rarely down, and the upload and download speeds are very good. I went to Consolidated and got a price from them, which I didn't like at all. It was very expensive, and they were going to charge us installation fees and things like that. But then I got a quote from First Light, which is just a little bit more than what we're paying for Atlantic Broadband right now, and the upload and download speeds are much better, and so I'll make a recommendation for that once I really sit through all the options that I just got them in this week, so I need a little bit of time to look at what's going to be the best option for us going forward. And then I'll make a recommendation, and we may have to adjust the budget with that going forward, if we decide to do anything.
Fiber or already downtown though, so how much?
They're going to charge us $6,000 to bring it 500 feet.
Yep.
Wow.
The fiber is pricey per foot, but it's more the terminations, because the person gets paid a very good chunk of money to just.
Well, it's already here in this building, that's what I'm saying, like.
But it's your connection on your
It's
cable.
literally 500 feet from a pole on Main Street, and they bring it 500
Yeah.
feet to the fire station.
Fiber, where you're really making the money for that is the technician and the termination, the burnishing and
Just,
that whole process. It's a good chunk of money to get into if you know how to.
So for us, where all our applications are in the cloud, upload and download speed is very important, and that's the whole crux of the thing. And when we're on with Atlantic Broadband, depending upon how busy everything is around us, our upload and download speed is affected by that. Kind of like your internet at home. We're sharing the same cable. With fiber, you get your own fiber that nobody else is sharing, so you don't lose the upload or download speed.
It just depends on what the overall cost comes into for a building that we will someday be moving out of, hopefully soon rather than later.
So I'm gonna continue to evaluate that in between working on all the grants.
Well, along that same line though, whatever we get there, if we get fiber, for instance, we want to make sure that fiber is available in front of the,
It is,
In
because
front of
they put fiber in for the new tower,
oh,
so the fiber is there.
Yeah, we would definitely be looking at that as part of the requirements for the new station down the road.
Yes, I already looked into that part too.
Are there any grants out there kicking around for a water supply? Thinking your cisterns and things like that, if there's any kind of
So the
construction
only-
reimbursement or something
so-
like that?
There's, what's it called, the rural
Development.
development block grant, yeah. So there's some of that out there. I haven't had a chance to really research that yet.
I thought they just had millions for water projects. That is
Well,
now
that's
available.
the infrastructure grant, bill that law
Yeah.
just passed.
Which means
So-
it'll be on a pipe.
So that would be,
Yeah, it's like-
more appropriate for the water district, to enhance their water
pay for that
system.
$6 million
Yeah.
project that they want us to pay.
No kidding, really. No, that's really what that stuff is for.
Oh, I know that, that's what I was like, but I don't know.
That's why I was just wondering, cisterns, rural water supply, if there was other opportunities out there, I mean, with tanks and.
And also in the infrastructure bill, I've had communication with both our senators, Shaheen and Hassan, to see if they can look into finding if there's any infrastructure money available for fire stations.
Yes, which just sounds like he has some experience with certain grants and stuff out there too.
Yeah, so there isn't really any. They're trying to come up with imaginative way to find some money for that right now. And I'm mainly talking with a woman from Senator Hassan's office right now. She's like, I said, talk to her. So that's why.
Yeah, I mean, because if there's infrastructure to bring our existing station up to codes, we can build something onto the side of it.
Sarah Hennessy. I'm dealing with a woman named Sarah Hennessy right now. I guess that's everything in my report, unless you have any specific questions.
Like I said, it looked good when I skimmed. I see that you had a new personnel for the call company. Is he on 2 departments or did he relocate?
I believe well, I know he's on ours, and I heard that he may be resigning from the other one. I don't know if that's a fact or not.
That is my understanding of the conversation I had when we hired him, so.
Yeah. Very good grab for the medical side of things.
Yep.
Is he coming over for structural too, or just the EMS side?
He's on the department, yeah, so,
He's on the department full-time?
no, he's a call
No.
person.
Oh.
He's more interested in the EMS side, but he can pump
I
a
know.
truck and he can pull a hose, he's firefighter one.
Yep. I just didn't know if he was going to do interior or.
No, he doesn't want to.
Okay. I'm not surprised to hear that. He's a very good resource to have on your department.
Yep, I already used him at that car accident.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the first ones there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he rides with us, like on the weekends and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. No, he's very committed. That's why I was just wondering.
Should from Belmont.
Yeah. So he's a very good resource you guys got a hold of.
All right, we'll move on to anything else with the chief's report? Paul?
No.
John?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to old business, the 2022 budget.
So I guess the only thing really left in that is the warrant articles,
And they're under new business.
and they're on the new business.
All right, so we'll skip that.
Yeah.
Has the budget committee gotten through their part?
No,
No.
Well,
Okay.
no.
no, they have not.
The budget committee, we were supposed to have a meeting, what, Friday?
Last Friday.
Last Friday.
And we did not have a quorum.
Okay.
So the only thing that the budget committee has is gone through the
Salaries and wages.
salary wages, that was it.
And some of the
And some
other.
of the-
Yeah, some of the,
Some of the
They're
beginning
working their
stuff.
ways from
Yeah.
top to bottom.
They're doing the hard one first.
Yep.
They did.
we did that first. Oh, we get a raise.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
At the cost of.
I'm telling you that.
The
I
treasurer
heard
and
that-
clerk.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
But I think that's my opinion. I think elected officials' salaries are not the budget committee can assign an amount to that, but I think the amounts of who gets, what the elected officials get paid is more probably the purveyance of the commissioners than the budget committee. But it's not in the bylaws either, one way or the other. Anyways,
All right, so we will move on to our favorite topic, the water department.
so within your packet and what you've had a chance to peruse through email, I've sent it out to you, is the proposed agreement from the water district. And so the commissioners have to, should peruse that and make a recommendation either for or against or a counter proposal or whatever the commissioners need, so that our attorney can answer their attorney on that request.
Okay. I'll wait for Eric to get back to that. I'll make a motion on this in a heartbeat.
Also included in that, at the back of that, is the court finding on the water district's motion to dismiss all the actions of the court, and which failed, that was found in favorable of the fire district. So they still cannot shut off our water or our fire hydrants or any of that stuff. So as I guess we'll wait for her. So as I reviewed the draft agreement, and I know I have really no say on it because it's fully the commissioners, I had no problem with it. But I will make no comment as to any of the financials within it. Any of the other conditions within there, I personally did not have a problem with. Financially, I will leave that up to the commissioners. Yeah, I'll just-
There's nothing in here about repairs.
Now what?
Repairs.
Nope. There's not.
I just want to make sure I wasn't missing it.
Nope.
And what was the other thing?
The repairs was the biggest one, and contractual number 7 is important to have. So that if the residents or at the annual meeting vote no, when we cannot be held obligated to it.
I guess null and void.
Yep, just like last time, which is why it's in the situation it's in. So I think it's great. I'll be more than willing to make a motion.
Well, I'm just curious about number 4.
Oh, that's what I'm making the motion on.
Well, just because what I'm reading.
Yep.
So,
So we want discussion first?
I guess we have to have a motion and then we can discuss.
Kinda.
Yeah. So I guess, go ahead and make your motion.
So I'll make a motion that we accept the agreement, the confident that was submitted with the adjustment to bullet number 4, the water district and fire district agreed to, in lieu of that tariff, for 2021 of no more than $75,000 to be approved by the public at a meeting. So all the rest of that is gone. Since we're going in the rears and for what we used.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second. So now we can discuss.
Yep.
So basically, so, could I remember, at the end of that meeting,
Yep.
I guess it was the last meeting, that with them.
Yep.
There was talk about 75 and then 75, or I don't remember what the other amount was, but.
Their amount was 125, ours was 75, and then someone had suggested, well, the difference you could tack on is future costs.
Right.
No.
And I'm just saying this, is that the future cost part? or
That's
is-
That's what it is, yeah.
That's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to make up their difference for 2021 out of future payments. No.
It would have been smart not to show that maybe next year. Put it in there and add on.
Well,
Well, this year, what are they gonna ask for this year?
I don't know. They haven't gotten that. But the whole issue here is the contract was null and void at March 16th of last
Oh,
year.
I understand.
So at that point, they had no monies entitled to them whatsoever. Now, meeting them partway with the 75 for the water usage, which we said was somewhere around 55,000 gallons, I think that the 75,000 for the hydrant maintaining and that water is pretty fair. The lines is their problem to fix. Their $6 million future, that's their problem to fix. As I said in a previous meeting, as long as there's not gasoline flowing through those hydrant pipes and we can get some kind of gray water out to put on the fire, it meets our needs. Their infrastructure is their problem.
Well, if you take the 75 plus the 6.
Yeah, plus all that. I'm not going above 75.
Oh, it's only 3, sorry, well, hold on.
You're essentially another 12,600. 12,600 they want on top of the 75. And no. Oh,
No,
I'm
it's
sorry,
one-
no, those are 4 quarters, so
Yeah.
you're
But
talking
it's three- it's-
17,000 3 times.
Right, when I added up, I added up 4 times, so I'm like, well, wait a minute, they're talking like 150,000
No,
on things on
no,
it.
they're talking like 17,000.
Yeah, 17,000, so it's 21, or it's 51,000 plus
Right.
75,000.
So they're
which is
different.
126.
They're trying to make up their difference.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to get back to this amount.
That wasn't, they signed a contract saying that if it wasn't approved, they didn't get the money. They signed that. So if they were smart, they would cut their losses and go for what they could. Instead of trying to go for the big pot, because let's go to litigation. Let's go to impasse.
Well, I guess, I'm okay with the 75,000, because
Mhm.
it's not,
Yeah,
it's ultimately gonna come down to the voting body.
right. And I think 75 is a potential meeting in the middle, because we did use some water at a fire, and they do maintain the hydrants somewhat. Hopefully they still shovel them more than they ever did, so that they show they're actually maintaining them. And I think the public, we could talk to the public and explain the side, and they might actually consider approving the 75. But they're not gonna approve more than that for something in the rears. I mean, by the time we have this meeting, we're gonna be in 2022 to begin with, so they're not gonna say, yeah, we'll give you money to pay off the last year's debt that we don't
But
know.
this is, if we vote and approve this, this is gonna, when we eventually have that meeting, it's gonna be for $75,000.
But they're still asking for a commitment
Oh, I know
for
that.
the other 50-ish.
Yeah, no, I got that.
There is, and that's the thing, is I don't think that as a body, we should be committing to that extra 50-ish. In any way, shape, or form. And that they need to get their delusion of possibly that they are owed that much out of the equation. They signed a contract saying that if the public said no, you get nothing. Public said no, by 1 vote. And none of the commissioners were there.
No, fine. Any other discussion? Well, because when we last met, we talked about $166,000 or something.
The 166 was the current bill that they were trying to get us with late fees and all the other stuff.
Okay.
So
We'll just-
the contract, they can send the contract back to them as it, saying you can have it for 75,000. If they say no, we can go to a special meeting as we're obligated by the court for the
Well, we'd have
160.
to go back to the special meeting
Right,
regardless.
so we'll go to that, and if we're able to get it for 75, then we'll present that to the public as an adjustment down, but not as an adjustment up.
Good.
That's my
No,
thought.
I wasn't good with that number before, and I don't think I voted for it, but this number I'm okay with, 75, I'm okay with it.
And I was too.
I was okay with it at the other meeting. I'm all confused, but that's okay.
Because they weren't willing to
Well-
agree to it at the time.
So
this
this would be
is just-
75,000, wouldn't the current tariff, we'd have to figure out what the current tariff would be and all that, which would basically be half of that, wouldn't it? Be about 250 a hydrant, roughly.
It's simple. In lieu of that, we are willing to pay them 75,000 for the calendar year of 2021. If approved by the public.
Yeah.
That's a pretty simple thing.
All right. Any other discussion on it, Paul?
No, I have
All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
none.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. $75,000.
So now you get something for the lawyer.
So the agreement is okay, the number is 75,000 for 2021, period.
Correct.
Well, we have this clause right here, number 7.
Is in there saying that it has to be voted on.
Now, I know there was discussion about definition of a blow-off.
I thought
Yes.
they included that in here a little
They
bit.
did, but I want to make sure the chief is okay
I'm
with.
fine with it.
You're good with it, okay.
Yeah.
I just, because remember there was, I think
Yep.
there was question about.
Yep, I saw that in there.
They
I
call
thought
it
that was his.
something, you call it something, and you're both talking about the same thing, but you're using different lingos. and-
Yeah, so I sent them language that they mostly incorporated in.
Okay, that's what it looked like.
You know, I could be talking about a Kubota backhoe, and he's gonna be talking about a Milton Kubota, digger. Both talking about the same
Caterpillar.
a Caterpillar.
Which would crush a Kubota.
Yeah, these are bigger.
Well, I'm just saying.
So you get something for the lawyer on that side of things.
All right,
All right, do we have to do anything with this here, this?
Yeah, I think that's just notification.
that's
to
just
us.
a written
No,
notification.
this is like the
saying-
written, that's like the written history of this thing. so-
No, it's, yeah, it's.
Oh, of his
of
denied.
the court's
Yeah,
denial of their
yeah.
motion to dismiss.
So also under the water district, I have a question for you. Where are we at in scheduling the special meeting process to meet our court obligations?
I'll ask the lawyer about that.
Okay. If you could, just because, and that's just as the normal scheduled process and the
I have a
normal
feeling it'll be
requirements.
January. I don't think
But
that's-
whatever normal scheduling process and normal resident requirements is what we're looking at, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see, we're gonna go under new business, warrant articles. Not go backwards.
You have the draft. All I did was take last year's, take out numbers, put to be determined, highlighted warrant article 6 from last year, because that was money that was, that 100,000 that they voted to. So I didn't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
So this is coming from unassigned fund balance, not through taxation.
Right,
Did you
but
get
that was last year.
No, and I guess my question is, are we gonna have $100,000 left in our
Well,
budget from this year?
No,
to-
the reason the title is highlighted is, do you want to add to that? Or do you want to just leave, take that right out of there?
Because it's already 100,000
Because
is
it's already 100,000,
set for that purpose.
right.
Oh,
And
that's
we've
right,
only-
because it doesn't lapse this
It
year.
doesn't lapse.
That was the change,
Right.
and we've only used like 10,000 or 12,000 of
Did we do
it.
some boring?
We tapped them in with the tower.
The
Right.
tower
I don't think you
folks,
guys have used any of this.
no,
We
none
had
of this-
Kyle Marker come in a couple, oh, no, that was
that
before.
was before.
Yeah.
This money hasn't been touched.
This money
Yeah,
is
no,
there.
I don't think
So-
we need that anymore at this time.
No, so do we just take out?
All right, so I'll X that warrant article out.
That's
I didn't
another-
know if you wanted to add anything to the land and building fund.
We usually do that every year.
It's gonna be a tight year for people. I can just tell you with everything coming up. How much did we normally put into Ed?
100,000.
We take 100,000 and we would take Rural 6 and,
Last year, it was 50,000, I think.
Anthony,
so we could take 50 out of the unassigned fund balance.
I wouldn't be taking any money out of the Sunfire balance until we find out what's gonna be, because we took a ton of money out of it last year. I don't know what's gonna be left in it this year, considering that we need to have a reserve to
Yeah.
get us through the first
Oh, we have
few months.
600,000 in there.
Well,
That's,
that was at the beginning of the year, before all the warrant articles
Mhm.
took the money out of it.
right. So, that's something we can decide on at a later, if you want.
I don't have the calendar in front of me. When is your drop dead on this? Around the 20th of January or somewhere like that?
No, the first week in January, these have to go off for pre-review.
With numbers? That number's
No,
gonna be
actually, I
adjusted?
can send it off without numbers,
Okay.
and then she'll send me back and say, you need to put the numbers in.
Well, I'd rather that if you could send numbers and
It's
play nice, it, right?
No, they don't mind, it's just language.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just,
So we're looking
it's
to
like
make sure
we're
the
looking for the
language is
language.
correct.
Okay, and then
The
she
numbers
just
is
needs to
not-
do a final review with the
Right,
numbers.
and then once the numbers are in there, I'll send it back to her,
Okay.
but that has to be done.
I know you have a
I
timeline.
do have the timeline, let me pull that up.
So I know the school side, the 20th of December, we have to hand off to the next process.
Right.
And February, so I think early January, you have to kind of have your finals, like probably a month or so. I don't know the exact.
You have the calendar, I have it printed out in here. so-
You have to have it done, the budget committee chose February 4th
Is that what their target?
as their target for a the public hearing.
Okay.
So we have to have everything finalized. I would say shoot for the middle of January.
Do you have a 30-day requirement prior to a public hearing?
No.
Okay. I just didn't know how far in advance to a public hearing you had to have your stuff because, I mean, yeah, you're talking,
Yeah,
that's why I'm concerned.
I know. So if you want to, do that, like I was saying, shoot for like January 10th or 11th. Oh, wait a minute, the chief's gonna be gone that week.
We do a
See,
holiday,
now we can't go. We're gonna cancel it.
but
We'll cancel the train.
Monday of a holiday, 17th.
Right, let me pull up, let me get next year's calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no later than, I would say no later than the 21st of January, because then these have to go to the budget committee for them to review it. And they weigh in on any money articles with a yes or no.
Yep.
So that would be the drop dead date, because then they have to have another meeting to review all of these before the public hearing.
And right now, we have you're out of town the week of the 10th,
He is,
Yeah.
yes.
even though we're scheduled for our commissioners meeting on the 11th.
Well, let's have it the 4th.
I won't be there on the 4th. I can tell you that right now. I'm sorry, but I will not, I will be at the school all day long and into the night.
Okay, well, what about that week, though?
I have flexibility there.
Okay, if we can meet that week, because the 4th is going to be cutting it tight, where the 31st
Mhm.
and New Year's, and then, okay, so January 3rd is the first day of the new year that everybody's working, so,
Is possibly January 5th available for people?
That's
It's a Wednesday.
I'm gonna get that.
That's not just our station meeting.
No, because that would be the following.
Right.
Put it on my calendar,
So you
January
can-
5th?
January 5th.
Okay.
You all can do Wednesdays?
Yeah.
Or you could be somewhere warm and tropical.
No, that's
No,
not,
I'll be
that's
back.
later in the month, isn't it?
Oh, it's this month.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Oh, it's this month on the calendar, I saw that.
This month, I just don't know when the other end of that is,
Yeah,
so.
so we're gonna shoot for the 5th.
For the 5th.
To final warrant articles? Final-
Yes, that'll be your first meeting and, finalize the warrant articles and do the chief's report and just all of that stuff that night.
Question for you then.
Yes,
Didn't you just say the 4th of February? Oh,
the 4th.
February, not
February,
January, okay.
yeah, February.
Okay,
Yes, they chose the 4th of February.
okay, questions answered with
The
that.
last date that, you guys usually hold them together,
Yes,
and the last date that you can have the meeting is February 11th. So,
I knew there was time.
yes,
We put the 4th because at least it'll give us a chance.
Yep.
right. Okay, so January 5th will be the next meeting. Okay, back to the warrant articles.
Do we have to meet again this month to do any encumbering or anything?
We're going to do that tonight. I have all that information.
Yeah, but nothing's gonna pop up over
Nope.
the next 20 days.
Because anything else that comes up we'll have an invoice for it. Oh, Paul, did you bring paperwork
Oh,
for
yeah,
the
I did.
flooring?
Yeah.
So the next one warrant article is the Fire Prevention Expendable Trust Fund. I can't put a number in there until the beginning of the year when we know how much money was taken in with that account.
Oh, it's a percentage based?
No, it's fire prevention fees that are charged.
Okay.
So all
This
the
is
inspections you go on, all the fees.
It's all the inspections.
Yeah, because he puts that in, and then the other fund is where you take it out for your school and
Right.
education.
So the fire prevention budget I haven't plugged in yet because I don't have those figures yet.
We got plenty of Honda money this year, it'll be good.
The health insurance deductible ETF,
iPads for everyone.
that'll be another end of the year to see what else comes in for health insurance
Yep.
deductibles.
Actually, you might get UPS and.
Article 11 is the communications tower ETF. That was voted at the last district meeting, 50-50. 50% goes to offset the budget, 50% goes into the trust fund. So the part that goes in is $2,500 this year, because we only received 5,000.
Is that on the Article 11?
Yes, that's Article 11.
Okay, good. We got one number done. Yay, 2500.
We know what the contingency fund amount is, you guys already approved that,
Okay.
but the budget committee's gonna shoot it down. I'm sure.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. But it's your warrant article. The apparatus and equipment fund budget, that has not been plugged in yet because the budget committee is not anywhere near finished. The same with Article 14, Car 3. And then the chief wrote 2 warrant articles for dry hydrants and cisterns, one to start the ETF and one to put some money in. And then Article 17 is the operating budget. Again, that's not complete. So, Articles 15 and 16, you can take this, think about it, bring it back to the next meeting, that's when,
I was good with most of it. I only had a question on Article 14.
New car 3.
Yep.
Okay, that was the number the chief had in there. Do you have more information on that, chief?
Yep, so I looked at the pricing for an Explorer.
Okay.
So the actual vehicle, the Explorer, is about $4,000 cheaper. But the problem with that is that we would not be able to use the command console, transfer it from the Expedition to the new Explorer, because the Expedition has a 48-inch wide command console, and the widest you can have is a 39-inch command console.
'Cause it explores size.
39-inch command console cost. I get it right here.
Anything about $4,000 kills the savings.
It's 6,000 and change. Where is the paperwork? I got it. Where's my yellow paper? Here it is. Okay, the new console for the Explorer 39-inch is $6,925 plus the $468 for the mounting system, so it doesn't fly out of the vehicle if you have an accident. So, in purchasing wise, it's cheaper to stay with the Expedition, actually.
Okay, so a question on that is the console, it's a complete cabinet system that couldn't be modified down to fit? I don't know.
Yeah, no,
It's like, is the bottom drawer all the way across?
Yeah,
Okay,
and,
all right, so yes, trying to mill that down, shrink it down before
and
the
all
4
our
inches.
radios are mounted on it all the way across as well, so there would be probably additional fees to
Okay,
rework all that as well. It, it doesn't really make financial sense to do it.
okay.
And I'm gonna rebid it again because there's a new contract coming out, so when I rebid it, I believe the number's actually gonna go down.
Okay, a question for you, it is, I'm not sure if you have it. So the vehicle itself, do you have the breakout of that 5878 by
Yes.
chance?
Yeah,
Did you bring the form?
yeah, he's got it.
Oh,
Yes, I have it, I'll sign that so we can encumber them.
okay,
And-
I was looking for the amount.
And,
1739.40.
and
Let me add my commission in there. too.
690, and 690.
Okay.
Let me add my commission.
And
690 for,
I told him the
the bathroom and
Oh.
1739.40 for the deputy's office.
all right,
And
You need a
all,
floor too?
yes.
Are you falling through to the beige
What's
yet?
that?
And,
No.
and you can schedule
Not
that when Tim goes, the week Tim's on vacation, which is the week after I'm on
He's
vacation.
gonna be tight. It's like I said, the material.
Yeah.
It's, I think, I checked on it already.
Well, just let me know, and if I can push it back a week if I have to, that's fine. I just need to take a week
You
off.
push your vacation back? Oh,
I don't
it's a staycation.
Yeah, I don't use
I got it.
vacation,
So you
so.
leave it the 17th?
No, I'm not, that's what I have in my calendar right now, but I can,
It's a
We can
stay
talk-
home
we can talk to
vacation.
you.
we can modify.
Okay.
I haven't done one in 2 years, so I got, Kathy said I'd take vacation.
I told him he has to take vacation.
Or lose it. And I don't want you to
I
lose
lost
it.
3 weeks this year.
I'm gonna be the same, so.
3 weeks.
That's why you're headed south.
That's why I'm headed south.
There you go.
Speaking of that, I gotta take
If I
off.
could have more time, I'd-
Basketball practice.
I have the old one in here, so I don't have the current one.
Could you just send it?
I'll send it to you,
Yeah, send us the breakdown of how that number comes to. I mean, it makes sense what you said so far
Good night,
about
thank you.
See ya.
See ya.
See you tomorrow.
See ya.
See you.
Oh, no.
6,000 plus versus 4,000 less, but I'd like to see the whole
Yeah.
breakdown of the electrical, the install, and all that stuff before.
Yeah, I'll give you the
Final
vehicle
answer.
cost, the upfit
Is
cost.
that 58,000 all in, or? is
That's
that-
all in everything.
Right, but I just want to
But
see
I
the
believe I
breakdown.
can get that cheaper because there's a new Mass is the only one doing vehicle bids right now, and they have 3 bids currently. There's the Plymouth County, there's Boston Police Council, and then there's the, this Mass State Police bid. And,
Okay.
so I'm gonna research which one of those is supposed to come out, was supposed to have come out beginning of this month, but I haven't had any real time to look at it.
That's the only reason that one stood out, is I read Ford Expedition, and I know we had talked about that, but that's why you got the stuff, I just want to look at the numbers again.
Yeah,
But
I'll
it
give
sounds
you,
like that'll be fine,
I'll send you like a spreadsheet with the breakdown of both sides.
thank you. Might be cheaper to do the Expedition after all then, I might actually.
So far it is.
Yep, so what's up? Okay.
Anything else on this?
That was the only one that stood out to me. But I don't think we need to add more to that Article 6, I think. there's
Okay, then I'll
plenty in
just
there.
pull that out of there.
Yeah, I don't see a need for that, we're not gonna,
Article 6 or something?
that was
Yeah, that
the
was-
design fee,
Yeah.
engineering fee
That-
specification.
yeah.
That was only
Well, I
there
did
as a
trust that.
placeholder,
Yeah,
because if I didn't, I wouldn't remember.
yep, no, I think that we're good with that. We're at the stage where we are now,
We got $100,000 to,
right, you have that in there, I don't think we need to consider adding more to it, and it's just not, it's just one less thing to put a burden on the taxpayers.
So encumbrances. Out of the operating budget, we need to encumber the flooring for $2,429.40. And
How much is it?
2429.40
And that's a flooring for where?
Center Street. And then Park Street bathroom, $8,801.
What?
That's.
It's not just you.
It's not just you.
Oh, that's a whole, I didn't think it was that much.
Pardon?
Even,
Car.
88.
Even,
And
yes.
that's for the center.
That's Park
Wow.
Street bathroom.
I say, boy, I
Good
think the
commission.
commission. Let's go to commission.
Look at the percentage on that one.
So that's a total out of the operating budget of $11,230.40.
One more time on the number?
$11,230.40.
Like 4, okay.
Okay, apparatus and equipment fund encumbrances. Whenever you're ready,
Is it a lot or little?
of course.
What about the, wait, just before we go on that,
Yes,
what about the repairs at the
Back of
railing?
the central
The back,
station,
the back.
the railing
That's
and
in the
vinyl.
budget.
that's in the budget for next year.
Oh, that's right,
Okay.
sorry,
I knew what you were talking about.
yeah, I thought that was for this year.
I asked that question
All right.
today.
Okay.
All right, app and equipment. Engine one, we need to encumber $12,382. That's the remaining left on that warrant article for that truck.
You said 12,000 what?
$382.
So this is the new engine one.
The new engine
Yeah.
one,
Yeah, it'll be confusing for a little bit longer.
yes. The new ambulance two,
Hold on. Yeah,
none of that money has been expended. However, we do have a contract, so it's $285,000
even,
even. So the total for the apparatus and equipment fund is $297,382.
Okay. And what do we have to do with that?
You need to make a motion and a second
That's what I kind of
and
thought.
vote,
Okay.
yes. That's why I gave all the figures.
Yeah.
so that would be from the operating account,
Yeah.
and this is from the apparatus and equipment fund.
Right,
And with us encumbering it, it allows it to cross over
into next year.
into the next year because it's already a contract that's in place. So
Right.
that's why it will, okay,
And if we don't encumber it, we lose it.
correct, okay.
Alright. I'll make a motion that we encumber $11,230.40 from the operating fund
Mhm.
and also from the apparatus and equipment fund in the amount of $297,382.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
No, we kind of discussed it
Yeah.
beforehand.
Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion passes. We are encumbered.
All right. I guess we could bring this under new business, but I had it in my fire chief's report that I didn't talk about, is that I'm changing Kathy's title, because I had to change her job description, so I'm changing her title. Her new title will be Administration Manager, because she does have oversight of employees now, and some additional duties that we've placed upon her. So I have a new job description, which I've reviewed with myself and Deputy Joubert, and I've actually had Kathy look at it as well to make sure that we didn't miss anything, or we had something in there that shouldn't have been there. And we've all come to terms that, yes, this is what the new job description is, and it doesn't change her pay grade or anything like that. It's just more of a name change to more fit what she is
Better
to our
alignment.
organization.
Better alignment of roles and.
Yes.
Does it change her, and I don't know, so pardon me, exempt versus non-exempt,
No.
and I don't know where you are. I'm not sure.
I'm non-exempt.
I forget what it is. You punch a clock then.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I forget which is which.
I'm an exempt employee.
That's right, yeah.
The deputy's an exempt employee. This-
I'm exempt for our work.
Me too.
You're far away.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull your grass over.
So I was just notifying you of that, so you don't need to take any action on it.
Well, congratulations on the new title.
Thanks.
Token of appreciation.
Yes, we should probably make up some new cards for you.
Well, you know, more.
We'll have to encumber, we can encumber those forms. All right, review the minutes of November 16th, 2020. I think I did. You didn't give us a copy of those, right?
You know,
No, they were
Yeah, I
emailed.
think I read them on it.
I read them, yeah.
And then if, here's the non-public, take one, pass it on.
Oh,
Please,
I gotta
thank
wait.
you.
I'll make a motion to accept the non-public session minutes.
Well, we were doing, all right, I'll second that. Any discussion?
None on that one.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion passes on the non-public minutes.
I'm just real quick pulling up the public minutes one more time. You guys pretty comfortable with everything in it? There's a certain loudmouth commissioner that identified in many of them.
Are you famous or infamous?
I'm not getting beat up on Facebook at the moment, so I must be doing something.
You're what?
Right? I'm not getting beat up on Facebook.
This is.
All right. Oh, I got a other. Now that I'm reminded. I'll make a motion to accept the meetings, the minutes of November 16th as written.
I'll second it.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion passes. Next is, we did the non-public, so next would be manifests. So, go through them.
Which I have a question on one of the manifests. That loudmouth commissioner again. I saw 3387 for modular communications. What is that radio?
That was in, that's for our repeater, and that was in the budget that, for last year, it's for the voter license. It's a one-time fee.
This is a repeater that was expected in the budget.
It's in the, no, the repeater's installed. It's
Yeah.
already there.
Is this the one to get us over to the sand pits on the other side that we talked about last month?
This is the license so that if we, when we add additional receivers, it can vote those received signals.
Right, but I believe part of the discussion last month is that vehicle module mount radios rather than a repeater. I believe we had a pretty good discussion about the repeater and the cost of that. And I just want to make sure where we came out of that on that.
We didn't spend anything that wasn't budgeted for that radio. That was in the budget last year,
Okay.
and for that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And So
So,
we got the license for it. It still can't do anything because we didn't do any of the receivers, and that's what, one of the grants that I had it in the budget to buy the receivers, but the commissioners were not in favor of that, so now I'm trying to get it through a grant.
but we've already bought a license for $3,800 that we aren't using.
But I'm pretty sure we will be using
How long is that license?
it forever,
It's one time?
one time.
Because the same thing I was looking at, okay, so it's great that it's 1 year license and when, I have a concern with that. I know it was in the budget, but we also have a large legal budget, and with the fact that we talked about not
So this
in
is out
favor of the
apparatus
repeater.
equipment fund, it's not,
Right.
we can't use this fund to pay any of the legal fees.
And I guess that's, for my thought process, it's, we see the things after the bill comes in, and it's kind of hard to really, I mean, yes, so we have an overall budget, and we have certain things in the budget, but like, we bought thermal imaging cameras last year, we bought other things that really weren't spelled out clearly in the budget, but they were still in the apparatus and equipment, which I understand is a pot of money. It's just have a concern with this, that it's not like, hey, we're looking to do this beforehand, so you get the input beforehand of the spending the money, rather than after the fact saying, hey, just sign this check. That's not the best way of phrasing it, but that's kind of the feeling that is on the table. It may be just me, but
I understand your concerns, but we really discussed this all last year during the budget process, and I didn't think there was a problem with it.
this is not part of that repeater thing.
It's not part of the, it's software in the machine, it's a software key. It's something that we already own. It's not a new thing.
So base station and repeater, so 48, is it that 4869, or did you buy a base station in addition to that?
No, this is the 4869, it came in less.
Okay, with their discount?
Yes.
So, yeah. Because right now, we're looking at base station repeaters,
No, we haven't spent that.
oh, because it came in after that one went out.
Yep.
So next,
This is
Here,
through,
we'll
this is
see.
through November and that.
Right.
Yeah, so when that'll show a reduction.
it'll
on
show that 3,200 at that point.
Yep.
Alright,
I know what you're talking about, though, the other thing, I think it was for the budget this year, for the getting in.
to get it up and over to the sand pit is the
Right,
best way
versus
of,
using hand propelled versus.
Right. Portables versus mobile.
Yeah.
I'm just cheap and don't want to spend money if we don't have to.
I think I just told you.
That's okay.
Here, I'll give you another one back.
No, you didn't, because I have mine
Oh,
over
it
here.
must be mine.
While you're under other business, could I bring up something?
Absolutely not.
Alright, so it wasn't, so station wasn't on this tonight, but one of the things that was discussed last night, just as a representative to the station committee now, rather than the chair, yay. The public members of it, right now you have a call company representative, a career representative, an administration representative, and a commissioner representative. From there, you have 2 active residents from Tilton and 2 active residents from Northfield. But that's pretty much been about it. There was talk last night that there's a couple other people that might be interested. We're gonna try and reach out to again, so we can at least have 3 residents from each town, trying to get that at minimum.
Are you down some people, is that what you're?
Yeah, so Joyce Fulwiler couldn't make the Wednesdays. Todd Ordell, we just never, he seemed interested, but we never heard from him at all.
Okay.
So those are 2 that were down. We have, I can't remember his name because Chief
Watson.
Bill Watson.
Yep.
Okay, he came to a meeting, but it was kind of confusing with that part. And so we're looking at that, and possibly someone recommended Casey Lananuzzi, possibly from Northfield, to reach out and see if they're interested. We would bring the names to the commissioners for approval, but just trying to drum up and get more people on it, because definitely want more feedback. I mean, even he said the same thing as, so.
So we have eight total people that are active on the committee.
Currently, yes. Yep. The 4 from the
What was it
representation.
before? Was it
We
nine?
had 3 extra, last time we had 9 last year. And
No, when we
had,
started this
we
cycle.
had 10.
Okay.
Because we
So
had
we have 8,
4,
so we're missing 1 for each town.
yes. And that's what we're trying to get that, at a minimum of that, and if not, maybe get 2 from each town. The more the better.
Is it, maybe we should put it on our website, they're looking for,
On their
So-
Facebook page.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe Facebook, yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. That's why I wanted to bring it back up. I remembered it when we were looking at the minutes.
It might be tough with the hubbub of the holidays to make it lost in translation, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
But at least put it out there, and anyone that's interested, contact our business manager.
Administration manager.
Just contact admin.
Not gonna fit on the business card.
No, it isn't. It's just admin.
All right.
So that was it.
All right. Anyone else? Paul?
The only thing is on the building committee, so we haven't done too much then.
No, actually, what we have done, because we were putting the cart before the horse, is the committee did reach out to some construction companies to try and get some,
We're doing RFPs, weren't we?
we're trying to do RFPs. We had 2 companies reach back to us already, submitted packets. We have 2 more that are pending sending packets. There was 2 additional on the list, I believe, that where calls were made, but no one had heard. It was like, so Kevin Kate was gonna follow up with them again. And the chief brought up 3 more that were recommended that weren't on the list that are gonna reach out to. So we're gonna reach out to them again, and I don't have my notes with me, but it was like in January, review the packets. Where we were going initially was to review the packets for 2 meetings in January, probably make sure all the questions, alignment, and things like that for the first meeting in February. Second meeting in February was going to be the interview process. Based on some information tonight, I think we're going to look at, like I said, trying to make sure the horse gets back in front of the cart. Because he even explained that a lot of times that's what everyone does, they jump right in and then trying to fix the issue. So I really appreciated having him here tonight.
So you guys don't meet again this month, you just don't meet again until
The
January?
next one was supposed to be the 22nd, and there
That's
was,
3 days before.
yes, so there was definitely some, it was,
I think there was some resistance to that.
yes.
I don't blame you.
So I think it's the 5th, no, it would be the second Wednesday.
The 12th.
The 12th, yeah.
12th.
So that's where it kind of is at with that. But yeah, we did get 2 companies that already submitted packets in, and 2 more that are forthcoming. So there are some companies out there interested.
And I received a phone call from a company today and gave them Kevin Kate's email address.
The thing is, I don't know if we really even asked the companies the right things to ask.
Correct. So that's why we're gonna have him come to our next meeting.
Well,
Is the commission interested in hiring somebody like Mr. Clark to help us through this process, do you think?
Without a commitment, I would say yes, an interest in it, depending on costs and things like that.
ultimately, it's gonna be the cost, because whatever you do, it's gonna be more,
Right.
but
Well, if he ends up saving,
And that's why I asked him that, is how much of a percentage of his cost would he normally
is his,
see in his
is his
savings?
percentage,
3 to 4.
no, I know that, but is that of the total project price, or is that just,
I kind of understood it.
I understood it as project price, but
Yeah. so if it's,
I may
I
be
think it's phase
mistaken.
2
I think that
overall.
might be the phase 2 part of it,
That's how I
but the
interpret it.
phase 1 is on an hourly rate.
That's kind of how I
but
see
that can
it.
come out at 100,000. then.
Yes, it can.
Yes.
Yes.
But I mean, so, well, if you go 3 to 4% of that, okay, that's $34,000, that's easy, but when you get into millions, it's, you know.
Well, the hourly rate, we'd have to figure out what his hourly rate would be for the first, phase 1.
Yeah,
But yes, because hypothetically, we threw
So
out like 3 million.
when you meet with him on the 12th, ask him what that
Yep.
rate might be.
That is a
And
very good
that way
question.
you'd really have a better idea. And I guess an additional question which I would ask is that how many hours would you anticipate putting into this project
Yep.
until the next district meeting, which would be on the the district meeting of the 23rd for the approval part.
Right.
And then that would be, a new agreement of somewhere between 3 and 4% of the process going forward.
Yeah.
But from what I heard tonight, I think his expertise would serve the district well.
I think it would be beneficial. I had a different opinion from tonight than I did from last night. Because I look at part of the cost centers and stuff, and if you're paying out, like it said, on 3 million, if you're paying 90,000 out, that's a substantial chunk of change getting you into your cap area to begin with. But if he's a good chance of him being able to bring back 45,000 of it, that's why I asked the question. That there's a lot more questions like that, but that's, yeah, it's a potential, and it would be something. I'd like to let the station committee think about it and see what their take is, and then we bring that back to the commissioners at that point.
I still think we're gonna be, the number's gonna be surprising.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be north of 5.
And the public won't go for it. We've already seen that.
But I just say, it's just the reality.
I know, but I'm hoping that what he said of construction material costs is
I don't
coming
think you're
down.
gonna see the labor costs go down, that's the other side.
That would be nice.
You're not gonna see that come down.
Only if the government shuts off all the stay-home money.
Well, we just upped our wages,
Everyone has.
or
Not
our,
me.
so, yeah, I don't get that, but the hourly people do, so.
Yeah.
Which they need it. All right, anyone else have anything else?
You're quiet over there.
No, we raised $1,000 2 days after,
Oh, for your wood drive?
with the boot drive.
Yeah.
Um, And that was successful. You know, I mean, it's as successful as it can be doing it there. It's a tough spot.
Where'd you guys do it this year?
We teamed up with Samerton and did it at the outlet mall.
Okay.
Now it goes to the children's auction, right?
Yes.
You just
And I'll
walk
go
it
to
over
the
the auction,
children's
just dump it on the table. No.
Actually, last year you had call, or was it 2 years ago, you had call members come over and deliver it on the air?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
That's good.
So like in my experience, doing this for a long time, if you have like a Walmart or a Market Basket, you have a concentrated area where you can collect people and you generally do much better, but
You did
This
one
is the-
place, that's not bad.
this is the place that would, everybody's spread out.
Exactly.
There's no funnel
tough
for you
place
to
to do
collect
it.
people.
You just catch them at the 2 entrances in.
Right,
Yeah.
it's not like you can
At
set
the
a
stop
Market
sign.
Street right between both of them.
At the stop sign.
And you know what's surprising is so many people that when you stand out in front of Walmart have said, I've received this money before. And they're the ones giving $20 and $30
Nice.
and $40. Because
They
they've
appreciate
been that
the
person
service-
before.
this- yeah.
And so, I mean, I think we'll try to make another attempt to get back over to Walmart.
This year? Second one?
For next year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because when we hit it those years, we were triple that amount.
Yep.
Anything else?
No.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Sorry.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No, we are adjourned at 7:46 PM. And I hit stop?
Yeah,
Yes,
the red
please.
button.
No, not the red. Not red.
Not red free.
Not red.
Okay.
Red?
No, you were doing the black one. Stop it.